back, everybody. So today we're down here in the shop and I want to see what all the buzz was about. I kept hearing about the reviews and stuff online on this, and I've seen some other people have gotten these, and I want to know, you know what is the deal with this? So I went and picked up an ARCCAPTIan Mig 200 just to see, is it as good as they say it is? And if it is, that's awesome, because we needed a decent little welder for our panels and stuff. So they said it's very powerful, great little welder, and here it is. So let's go ahead and unbox this thing and see what it's like. All right, so so far it looks like it's packaged decently, so I'm not going to see hopefully any damage. Yeah, it's packaged actually really well, and that is some dense stuff. All right, so here it is. Let's see if I can lift this thing up out of here. Slim design. And what all does it come with? Instruction manual. Alright, so go ahead and get the plastic off of it here, and I'll spin it around where you guys can see it. So let's check this thing out. Alright, so far looks like it has the European style plug-in for that. That must be the thing that converts it over to 110. Oh, tied to that. Look here. You got your extra wheels and another welding tip and some extra little tips that goes on the MIG. That's nice. Always can use an extra one of these, especially when it matches a certain MIG torch. All right, let's see what this is. This is our gas hose. And I don't see, the thing that I don't see is a regulator. So apparently it doesn't come with the hose regulator, but it comes with the gas hose. I find that a little odd, but okay. Because like I said, I would like the ability to use the gas. Go ahead and open this up here, and let's see just how heavy. Oh wow, this is, whoa. I mean, let's see how that compares to the big one. Hold on a second. Alright, so this is my industrial, which is our big Lincoln stick welder for some of our large projects, versus this. It's a little smaller, but I mean the tension is there. It's just not impressive by no means, I should say. But still, it looks like it will work, and we'll actually give that a test in a second. Now let's see what else we have. Okay, so we get into that. And this is our MIG torch with our MIG trigger and some more tools and a tip. Okay, so my first overall impression, not bad. For what it is, it's actually fairly well made. It's not as big as like you would see on a Miller or something, and the tip's not as big. Looks like it's not really a universal tip as much as it would be. It's just a smaller gauge. I can't remember the gauge on that, but it is smaller, but that's okay, because if I'm using it to weld panels, that's actually not perfect. So it says it comes with 8 foot of cable. Yes, absolutely it did. And let's see what we got over here. Our ground strap. All right, now let's check out our little ground strap. Actually, I like that. I want to show you this real quick. Now this I am a fan of. See how it's got the little webbing right here, which is the copper mesh that goes between the 2 clamps. That's nice. So that way it's actually, you know, conducting instead of, well, hang on. And what I was talking about is basically you've just got an old style clamp that has the cable running in the back of it. Principle's the same, but yeah, you know, it just doesn't seem, I just seem to kind of like this little setup a little better. Like I said, it doesn't take a lot to ground, but especially when you're getting a decent ground, that works. I might actually try to do something like that with this one. Even though we don't use it a whole lot. Far and few between that we actually use it, but at the same time, I do use it from time to time. Now let's go ahead and check out the cord on it. Standard 220, nice. Which I actually have a 220 outlet right there, so no biggie. We will actually hook it up and see what happens. All right. Alright, so I've already got the wire in here and got it loaded up. Now I noticed the plug that I have for that is different because I've got a big industrial welder plugged up to that, and it's an older one at that, so dang it, I've got to run it on 110. And I'm kind of disappointed because I really wanted to try this thing out on 220. So let's go ahead and get it plugged in here, and we'll see how it does on 110 and give it a shot. All right, so I've got a little weld test here set up, and let's just see how well this thing, you know, welds anything. I'm just gonna grab a piece of scrap and I'm just gonna lay it up here and tack it. Wow. It's got some power to it. 14.9 volts, 6.1 is my wire speed, which is about right, but wow, let's lay a little weld. I mean, I didn't expect that kind of, hang on, let's get back into this. I'm you know, like I said, I'm not paid to do this, okay? I am doing this because I want to know if this is the truth than what they're trying to portray out there on some of these other channels, if this is actually a fact. And if I can actually use this for what I want to use it for, if I just wasted the money. Everybody says it's great, but let's find out. What? What? That's just a little, I mean, that's not gas, that's not shielded, that's not anything spectacular. It's just, I gotta do a lap. Hang on, let's get something set up here. I wanna know something. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone and drilled a couple holes in a piece of metal. So what I'm doing when I do this, I am simulating an imperfection or a damaged hole in a panel. This is about the same thickness as your automotive panels, and I want to know if this welder is going to do what I need it to do. Now what I need is I'm going to try to fill this in without any backing. It's easy to fill when you have backing, but if I can actually fill this hole in with the welder without backing, we've got something here. So let's get it to where you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to get this little set up here, and let's see if I can fill this in. Well, I can already tell you I'm halfway there, so I'm thinking I'm about to be impressed. All right, I can say I am officially impressed. Hole be gone. Wow. Okay, let's drop the voltage a little bit and see if that makes a difference where it might make it a little easier. Okay, so we just dropped the voltage. I'm at about 12 volts right now. That's what it's saying on that 12.8, or I'm sorry, 11.8. So now let's try and see if it's gonna, of course now it does auto sync, so it may adjust it, but I just wanna see if I try on a lower voltage, if it might make a difference. Oh wow. Ha ha. Okay. So there that is. And that's just with a little cooler voltage. You know, because this is a fairly thin panel. But I'm impressed. I mean, it did exactly what I thought it wouldn't do. Because like with the cheap welders and some of the other things that you get, it's either too hot or not hot enough, or you don't really have enough adjustment in order to be able to do this. So let's get back in and let's talk about this. Okay, so now the MIG, to me, passed the test. Now I'm going to try some arc welding. And I'm going to start out with, it's a, I think it's 11/32 rod, 6013. So we'll see how it runs at 6013. And then I've got some of the bigger rods for Big Bertha over here, and we'll see how it runs those. So let's go ahead and do a comparison, see how it runs this small rod, and see how well it'll tackle some of the bigger rod for a while still. Alright, so let's go ahead and see how the small rod runs. Huh. I forgot about the 6013s. They're hard to reignite. But that gives me a baseline test. So now let's try the big rod. Okay, let's go ahead and try the big rod. No way. What? A little 110 multi-process? No way. That run the rod as big as that. What? Hold on. Hold on. Let's try this again with another one. Let's go back to the small rod. I popped it out of the holder, my fault. Totally on me. Okay, so we're running that really hot, but that's kind of what I wanted to find out, if it'll melt a hole. Are you kidding me? Now let's drop the voltage back before we know it's going to run. Say, let's run about 90 amps on that. Let's run a nice little bead. Are you kidding me? This is just... Oh. What? Hold on a second. Let me switch to the big rod. This is I don't know. I'm having a hard time believing this. Come on, ignite. Well, that's the problem with these big rods. Okay, so we can't run them on the low voltage, but we can crank it on up. And I bet it'll run on about 115. And let's turn the amperage up just a little more. All right, 127. All right, so they won't run on that on the small end. All right, so we'll put it on 133. It should run it. Okay, so it'll run the big rods on right around 130 to 133. The small rods, they'll run on 90 amps. What? Okay, so I think I've collected enough information. Let's go ahead and go into review on this thing. All right, so Arccaptian Mig 200. I honestly have to say I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't just done it. So I am super impressed with the capability of this little welder. Literally being able to take MIG, run it on wide open. One point in time, like I said, I turned it all the way up on 120 millimeters. And because it's in millimeters, it's not in inches per second, it's in millimeters, unfortunately, because it's from UK. But Wow. So I turned it all the way up, run a bead on it, and just to see, okay, will the welder have enough energy and enough power on 110 to be able to keep up with that? And it did. And exceeded my expectations on the MIG. I mean, the penetration was good. Actually pushing in and, you know, leading your weld instead of dragging, which is how you MIG weld, in case you guys don't know. But actually, you know, pushing my weld, it allowed me to penetrate. And looks like, let's see, what is the thickness of that? That is about 3/16, maybe a little over. And it penetrated. So I'm kind of pretty impressed. I mean, I could honestly see me taking this MIG welder, put some gas on it, and probably be able to easily weld 3/8, maybe even bigger. I'm impressed. You know, the arc side of it, I put it over on arc because I can't really test the TIG part of it because I don't have the TIG attachment. It didn't come with it on this particular version. I thought it did, and it didn't. So, well, dang. But put it on the arc and actually ran it on max amperage, which was like 135, 136 that you can run on 110. And it run the big one. You know, it run the big rods, just like I use for Big Bertha over here when we're welding, you know, 1/2-inch plate. I'm impressed, and I actually had enough energy with the small rod to melt through, because I wanted to see how, okay, if this has got this much energy, has it got enough energy to penetrate and actually melt through with the small rod? So I did just that, as you saw. And that was with just a 3/16 rod, just a small rod. So I'm really impressed. I mean, I'm really kind of blown away. And it ran, the big rod, the lowest I could get it to run was in about 120 amps on the little machine, which, you know, for the big rod, that's pretty decent. You know, and it's like I said, it's just standard welding rod. So, you know, it ran it. Got to turn it on the upper end. But for 110, I'm impressed. The small rods, yeah, I had no doubt that it would probably run the small rods. I just didn't think it would perform as well as it did with, you know, the regular standard welding rods, the big rods that I use on, you know, the structural steel. So I have to say, that was a pretty decent test, and now I'm going to have to get some gas and try this again on the MIG side and see how well this will actually weld with some shielding gas, because I'll be honest with you, I'm impressed. I really am impressed. I mean, Arccaptian really did a good job on this, and the multifunction stuff on this is pretty impressive. I'll show you real quick. Like I said, I've still got it set on MIG, and like I said, I've synced it, so, you know, you're running MIG, it's on amperage, so we can actually change this. So there's millimeters, 4.3, 6.2, and at one point in time, like I said, I cranked it all the way up and ran it as far as it would go. And the average time I was running was probably about right here on 16 volts, 7, and it did great. So, you know, I mean, for a little, you know, machine like this, I've got to learn more about it, obviously, but just right out of the box, folks, I'm impressed. I'm not gonna lie, I really truly am impressed. So now you know, if you guys actually are looking to purchase one of these, like I said, I'm a consumer just like you. I just wanted to know what the hype was about and wanted to know if what they were sitting here spinning online and some of the other guys were saying about this welder was actually true. And it is 100% true. I have no complaints whatsoever about this so far. As time goes on and we use it for some of the panels and some of the other things around the shop here, we'll see how it goes. But for as of right now, yes, I'm fairly impressed with this little compact machine. It's pretty powerful. And like I said, it actually runs some really big rod and did some good welds. So let's check out these welds real quick. Not the greatest looking welds, but I mean, it did run a decent weld. Now, while I've got the chipping hammer, let's go ahead and chip this off and see what this looks like.
This is the weld. Okay, this weld I tried to push back into to see what it would look like. This weld here, I pushed back a little bit and would flow to see if it would penetrate again. And wow.
So there we have it. It penetrates right into the steel. It has enough power to continue on. So again, I'm fairly impressed. Well, and there we have it, folks. So like I said, I'm a consumer just like you on this one, and if you guys want to go ahead and pick you up a decent welder at a decent price, because I think this one comes in, depending on which option. If it comes with the TIG torch, since I had to go back and look it up, I thought I bought the one with the TIG torch, but I didn't. It comes in at $3.99, $4.99 with the TIG torch and some other attachments with it. So that kind of gives you an idea of what you're looking for on these. So honestly, like I said, well worth it, well worth what I'm paid for it. And if you like what we're doing, you want to see more of it, folks, hit that like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching.